The NASCAR Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by EdgeBoost. EdgeBoost enables you to double your bet with no interest. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to get started today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Are set to kick off the most exciting week in all of motorsports. Of course, it is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Boy, do we have a packed week for you. Cody said it before in our recap show, all three series of NASCAR in action in Charlotte this week. The Indy 500, the Monaco Grand Prix. It's like, I don't know what else can run this weekend, but I'm sure if it's got 2 wheels, 4 wheels, no wheels, could probably cram it into this weekend. Yeah.
Why not, Rod? If we can bet on it, especially, let's get it out there. Let's get it going. It's no, this is this is such a great weekend for all of racing all across the entire world. And yeah, it'll obviously start out with the NASCAR Trucks and Xfinity Series, and then Sunday you wake up and it's just racing nonstop. They space them all out perfectly so the races don't overlap. Everything runs great throughout the day. And yeah, oh man, it's such a great weekend, full of racing, full of content this week. We are pumping it out all week. It is a very busy week, but a very fun week. We're excited to have you along for the ride.
Of course we are. Yes, this is the Coca-Cola 600 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And of course, this is the longest race of the season for these guys. It's 600 miles, not 600 laps. This is a full 600-mile race, and this is a grueling test of just sheer. Look, driving 600 miles in a day, even in your own commercial car, is crazy, given that you can stop if you want, you can eat lunch, you can take a break, you can, stretch your legs. Nope, not these guys. They're driving 600 miles. The only breaks that they get will be sitting at the pit stops, or if there's a caution lap or two where you get to just actually, not mash your foot to the floor. But these guys are driving 600 miles at once, and that is a test of anybody's endurance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's probably the biggest key, especially when it comes to gambling, when it comes to fantasy on a weekend like this, is you've got to remember, yes, certain guys might be fast early. Yes, certain guys might have different things like that. But the test is the longevity, right? You have to put it together over 600 miles. If you're the fastest car for the first 500, 550 miles, it doesn't matter if you don't get to mile 600. And so that is the true test of this is as much as it is, you need to have speed and you need to look good and all of that stuff. You've got to have the endurance. You've got to have the longevity. And so that's what makes this one even more fun.
And I was looking on Twitter the other day, or actually I think it was this morning. Days are all jumbled up. Anyways, there was a tweet that I saw that said something about the cautions, the amount of cautions that have been in this, and it's only been like 7.5 cautions that they've averaged over the last few races. So there's not a lot of cautions to make this a race in which, the field's going to get bunched back up a lot of times. So this could turn into some long green flag runs. It could turn into some spacing out, right, to some drivers just kind of checking out of this race here and there. Obviously, caution stages are going to bunch things back up again. But, again, you have to have good long run speed on this track because there's not going to be a whole lot of short runs for you to try to catch back up to the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so crazy that there is only that few of cautions. Now, we'll probably get into it more as we get into the format, but there's 4 stages in this race compared to the 3 normal stages. So you will have 3 built-in cautions for stage 1, 2, and 3. And then, of course, stage 4 ends at the checkered flag. But that is a little wrinkle. And, the 10 extra points, 10 for first, but 10, 9, 8, down to 1 point for the top 10 finishers in that stage 3. That's a bonus. That extra playoff point on the line for winning that extra stage. And so that just kind of all goes into encapsulating what a big day this is and how important it is. You wreck out of this early, you're missing out on a potentially stage 1, 2, and 3 points in addition to the finishing points.
And this is a home track for a lot of folks too, because obviously the garages, the main buildings are all right there in the Charlotte area. So, these guys, they're performing in front of their teammates. They're performing in front of everybody that they know. So this is a pretty important race for a lot of teams.
Yeah, and I think now all of the teams are based out of at least the North Carolina area within a reasonable amount of space, to Charlotte, with teams like Furniture Road no longer being in existence out of like Denver, Colorado. But in Trackhouse, I guess they're technically based out of Nashville, but their shop is in North Carolina. So, but yeah, this is a chance for all the team guys, the shop guys who don't go to the track on a weekly basis. They get to go to this race. And there's just a lot of people there. Speaking of a lot of people there, it's a sold out race. They've announced today that the race sold out. So going to be a packed house, a lot of people excited. And yeah, this is one of those crown jewel events. It's not the Daytona 500, right? Indy's got the Indy 500 and F1's Monaco is one of their bigger races. This isn't the biggest race in NASCAR, but it is a crown jewel event. And this is one that everyone wants to add to their list and check off with that trophy.
Well, we will add it to our list of races that we will preview for you from a betting aspect, but let's take a break and ask you, have you signed up for EdgeBoost yet? Well, if not, you're missing out. EdgeBoost is the world's first bet now, pay later Visa card. Similar to buy now, pay later programs, EdgeBoost enables you to double your bet with no interest and pay back the advance over 4 equal weekly installments. That's right. 0% interest. Simply deposit funds into your account and EdgeBoost will match the deposit so you can use twice the funds on any legal sports betting site. Edge currently offers up to $2,500 in advances, up to $2,500 that you can add to your bankroll. My EdgeBoost double down play of the day is, I'll give you that when we get there. We're giving our plays out later. I'm not giving them to you now. Don't wait for the ad break to get my pick. No, wait for that in a little bit. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to sign up today. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. Must be 21 years or older to use. Only valid in legal gambling states. Problem gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Love how they threw that in there to try to get me to put one of my picks in early. No, sir. That's not going to happen here. We're going to wait until we get there. But yes, this is, of course, the Coca-Cola 600, as I've said before, from the Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. Drivers will run 400 laps around this 1.5 mile paved track. It will be an absolute doozy of a race. As we've said before, this will be some pretty long green flag runs. Although I will say, I say this, right, that they were 7.5 cautions. Last year, 18 cautions for 90 laps. So, Rod, once again, you contradict yourself. But the Coca-Cola 600 before that, 4 cautions for 26 laps. Before that, 7 cautions for 37 laps. Last year, first time in the next-gen car, everybody lost their damn mind. We saw that big one, too, at the end that took about just everybody with it. So, again, I don't think we have that in store for us on this track this year. Or maybe I'm wrong. I have no clue.
Yeah, you never know what to expect, right? But we've had some really, really good racing on the 1.5 mile so far this season. So I do expect this to be a pretty good race. There's going to be a portion in the middle of this race where everyone settles in and clicks off laps, clicks off miles. It's 600 miles, you're likely not going to get 600 miles of hard racing, nose to nose and everything like that. But, we've seen some of these races, they start out aggressively early. People are trying to get that track position. People overshoot and overcorrect and all of that stuff, and you get some accidents and stuff. But there will be a portion in the middle of this race. It'll get pretty, steady, and they might just settle in and click off some of those laps. But I think as we get towards the end of this one, it's going to be exciting. Again, all of the mile and a halfs late, this season and even going back to last season have been pretty exciting races. And I expect another good one this weekend in Charlotte.
Yeah, and it's weird because I feel like I don't know why last year's 600 got out of control. It felt like every other, maybe was it the new car? Was it the way that people were racing at that point? Like, I don't know. It just felt like a weird day. 18 cautions is a lot of cautions. 90 laps in a 400 lap, that's almost a quarter of the race spent under caution. So I highly doubt we will see that again. And I know the poll that the person had tweeted out, I apologize for not having the tweet on hand. My browser just crashed and I don't want to go looking through that again. But I will say that they said over under 10.5 cautions for this race. That I felt that was a pretty
that's a
solid
very
number.
good line. I like that.
Yeah. I still take the under though. Again, we've seen some crazy races this season, but I don't know that we've seen the sheer chaos that it would take for 18 cautions.
Yeah. The tire wear is not going to be as high here. It's a track like Kansas, but think of all the single car spins we had at Kansas where guys are just kind of losing it. I could see having a few of those, especially you get later on in this race and the monotony of lap after lap after lap, and one little mistake makes it 10.5 is still a decently big number when you look at a lot of the previous years, other than last year, of course, kind of the outlier. But I think that's probably a pretty good number.
Yeah, and again, I'm still taking the under. I don't feel like there's going to be that much. I feel like last week's All-Star race, I feel like they spent a lot of that energy of getting lapped, and I think they just want to run a race where they don't get lapped.
Yeah, we didn't see many caution flags last week, so luckily we'll have the back markers back in this one to maybe give us some caution breaks, keep things bunched up a little bit.
They'll keep Ross Chastain at bay for this as well. When you look back through the history of who's won on this track, it's crazy because when you think about the dominance that we've seen so far from like a Hendrick or whatever, it's been mostly Toyota that has kind of risen to the top of this track over the last few years. So, but then again, you take a look at somebody like Hendrick, how they've been on a run, and they've actually won 2 of the last ones that haven't been Toyota. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so hard to handicap this. And Cody knows because we don't, we fill out the sheet separately of our winners and stuff like that. And it's like, I did not have a winner pick because I could not figure out. I love that you filled mine out for me too.
I did fill out one of Rod's winner picks because if he didn't give it out, I was going to, but it seemed more appropriate for him to give it out.
And again, I knew where I was going. I just didn't want to be the homer on that one, but
no, it needs to be given out for for the price. It's right. We'll get into it.
Exactly. But anyway, so again, like I said, I had such a hard time handicapping this race for that very reason, that I know that Toyotas have been good on this track, but like, it's so hard because Toyota's been good this season too, right. But then so is Hendrick. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to pick.
Well, we've seen it lately. Like, it's been hard to know which guys are going to be good. And, obviously Larson is going to be the favorite. He's coming off a dominating performance last week, but I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know the exact answer. But when's the last time we saw a Cup guy win back-to-back weeks?
Exactly.
William Byron, did he do it early this season? He might have, but I think some of his wins were spread out earlier on. Like, guys are not just, I get that Larson had the dominating performance last week, but he's not won a race on a mile and a half or an intermediate track so far. It's been all short tracks where he's won. And almost to Kansas, right? He was the last lap and he got passed by Denny Hamlin there. So I think that it is very unpredictable as far as what's going to happen. I know as I looked into this, I mostly am leaning on previous Coke 600 results specifically because that extra 100 miles makes a huge, huge difference. And it doesn't matter to me as much, a little bit, what some guys have done on 1.5 miles so far. I think the lack of Ford speed is something to be noted, but I think that there is guys, and we're going to touch on a couple of guys that I think can overcome that and sort of have overcome that. Of course, Chase Briscoe has got some decent finishes in this race. Makes me sad to maybe back off of fading him a little bit. And plus, I don't think I saw him in any head-to-heads yet. So, yeah, but maybe not. Maybe we'll wait on the fade Chase Briscoe part just because he's been able to last through some of these. But that has been my heaviest thing. A couple notes, too, quick before we get into it. Alex Bowman, it's looking like he's going to be back. He's on all of the books as far as numbers, and Barry is not listed at all. It sounds like, from what everybody is saying, that Bowman's going to be back. No official announcement as we record this on Tuesday afternoon yet, but I would expect Alex Bowman to be back. This is a rough race to come back with back issues. 600 miles in that car. I'm not looking to bet on him at all. It's going to be a rough one. I don't know how I feel about picking this race to come back, but I suppose they're going to do it. And then our friends over on the Quick Pit podcast are doing a triple podcast challenge, where you can go on and you can pick 3 drivers for Monaco, 3 drivers for the Indy 500, and 3 drivers from the Coke 600. We've got this posted over at NASCAR Gambling on Twitter. You can check it out on their Twitter as well, but it's just a Google Doc. You go in, you fill out the guys you want, and they have their own points thing basically, but you're trying to predict the top 3 finishers in each race. Going to be some prizes. I know we've tossed in a $50 gift card to the merch store so you can get some NASCAR Gambling Podcast stuff. I think he had mentioned maybe doing a die cast. I don't know exactly what all they're going to have for prizes, but fun little contest with all of the mass amount of racing we have going on this weekend. So make sure you go get in on that, because that is going to be a fun time.
Always love winning stuff that you don't have to pay to enter to do. It's when it's free, it's for me. I love that absolutely and thoroughly. So speaking of free, this content's always free, and it's free for a reason. So we'll be back after our break to give you our picks for this Coca-Cola 600, but bear with us while we continue to sponsor this free podcast with guys like Shady Rays. Shady Rays is teaming up with SGPN for Shady May. Not only do you get an amazing 50% off offer, but you also have a chance to win $500. Shady Rays always has you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and of course, so much more. Shady Rays have durable frames and extremely clear optics for all of your outdoor adventures. And if you lose or break a pair, even after day 1, they told us they're going to send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. If you don't love them, exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. No risk when you shop with Shady Rays. That team's always got your back. And for our international listeners, don't worry. Shady Rays has you covered as well with shipping to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. Go to shadyrays.com. Use code SGPN for 50% off of 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. And remember, May is almost over. So make sure to take that receipt of yours to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady for your chance to win the $500 Shady May contest. 400 laps, 600 miles, 1 winner of the Coca-Cola 600, one of the crown jewels of the NASCAR schedule. And of course, just basically in motorsports in general. We, as always, have bets for you. It's funny because as the books were starting to release odds, I was getting excited. And then, of course, they unleashed the full amount on us just in time for us to record this, thankfully. And then I got even more excited because the more bets they offered, the more excited I was.
That's usually how it works. Always happy for more bets. Shout out to the books for getting us some stuff. One more thing before we get into the bets. I wanted to read a review that we got from Herb, the real Herb, rather. Don't want to get that wrong. Not the fake Herb, the real Herb. Appointment Listening is his title of the review. Love these guys. Also great that they have multiple shows. Very informative and a fun listen. Herb, then it says in parentheses, me, approves. So glad to have the approval of Herb. Thank you for leaving your review. Again, if you go leave a review on Apple Podcasts, we will read it as well. So thank you to all of you who have done that. I know we've gotten a lot of them and rate, review, subscribe, do all the fun stuff on all your platforms.
So in our Twitter handle description, Cody, this is what you need to do. Herb approved. You need to add that into our Twitter bio. Herb approved.
I will have to go edit that and add the Herb approved.
I want that for that, because that means a lot. He hit all of our talking points. So we couldn't have said it any better, Herb. Thanks for your support. Thanks for listening, and thanks for setting the appointment to listen to us.
That's right. Love it. Okay, now what you're here for? Some bets. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
All right, I'm going to start with Kevin Harvick, top 10 over on Caesars. He's minus 120. Also going to take him for a top 5 at plus 220. Kevin Harvick, Coke 600. These things go well together. 3rd place last year, 10th place in 2021, 10th place in 2020, 10th place in 2019. He had a 40th place finish in 2018. But if you go all the way back to 2010, that 2018 finish is his only finish outside of the top 11. Kevin Harvick is good here. He is the perfect model driver for this type of race. A veteran driver, knows what he's doing, knows how to take care of his equipment, knows how to get there until the end and be there at the end. So minus 120 for him just to finish in the top 10. You're hardly paying any juice there, which you only pay the juice if you lose anyways. So I love this. Top 5, you're getting them at basically 2-1. Love that as well. Also going to toss in a bonus over here. Caesars has one of their special bets or whatever for top Ford and top Toyota. It's Kevin Harvick to be the top Ford, Christopher Bell to be the top Toyota. Obviously, I love Harvick. And as far as the Ford camp goes, you got guys like Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney. But like we know, the Ford camp is a little bit of a weaker area. When it comes to Christopher Bell at Toyota, yes, Toyotas are going to be pretty tough. There's only 6 of them, but I think that 5 of them are going to be very good. Not as sold on Gibbs this week because it's such a long race. A rookie, a young guy. The mistakes could be there. We've been loving Gibbs for the top 10s and stuff this year, but not this week because of the rookie part of it. And so he will have to beat the other 5 Toyotas other 4 Toyotas rather, who I expect to all be good. But Christopher Bell, if you watch him week in and week out, he's kind of not in the picture at all until the last 100 laps almost, it always seems like he's so good at working on his car and getting things right and then being there at the end of the race. And all of a sudden it's like, for Bell, where'd you come from? And there he is. So I expect that from him this weekend. And at 10-1 for these guys to be the top in their respective Ford and Toyota camps. I like that bet as well.
I can't make an argument for you. Did you say Harvick top 5 too? I think you did, right? You threw that in?
Yep.
Okay, good.
So yeah, top 10, just to clarify, top 10 minus 120, top 5 plus 220, and then the top Ford, top Toyota with Harvick Bell, 10-1.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
All on Caesars.
Yeah, I was like, I knew he put it on there. I didn't hear him say top 5.
I did.
Heard him say 10.
I think I did. Who knows? I'm losing my mind, so it's possible I didn't even say it.
So yeah, I can't fault you on that one. I love me some Kevin Harvick. Always have, always will. Christopher Bell may be the one where I'm a little but again,
that's the one you're kind of.
You're right. He just shows up in weird places.
Yeah, that's the one you're kind of going a little bit out on a limb. But man, Rye, of course, I was hoping to be the only guy on Bell this week, and Rye Cape in our Discord early this week, he's like me some Christopher Bell this week. I'm like, shh. Don't say anything yet. Save it for the show, man. But good to know that another great mind is thinking about Christopher Bell as well. So I'd like to hear it.
That's the problem with that Discord. I usually have to stay away early in the week because I don't want it be influenced by anybody that's already in there. There's sharp minds in there.
Exactly.
They're throwing down their picks. I'm like, hey, I don't want. I'm down. Okay. Well, nobody is tossing this name around in the Discord, and for this, I'm dropping our display names for a second. If you're in YouTube, you've never seen us without our display names within, but dun, 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 dun. I've got my Jimmy Johnson 48 Lows shirt on from back in the day. My first bet of the day is a Jimmy Johnson top 10. That's a plus 500 over there on Caesars. Unfreaking believable. I get it. I know he's not in Hendrick equipment anymore. I know he's not in that 48. He's in that 84. And I get it. The guy hasn't finished a race this season that he started. Unfortunately, had a terrible start to the year for him. as far as finishing anything. Like he didn't, obviously you got not even a lap around at Coda before he got
like 2 corners.
like literally got to start his engine. And then he ran more pace laps than he did actual laps in the race. Now granted, the Daytona 500, he actually had a pretty decent run, at least that he was running around the track for a while before he had to exit. But look at Lowe's Motor Speedway, right? That's what this used to be at one point in time. And for good reason, because Jimmy Johnson owned the hell out of this track. Dude won 4 in a row here from 2004 to 2005. I mean, that tells you something right there. That was back-to-back seasons that he did not lose a single race on this track. And then one in 2003 as well. 8 wins total. 8 wins on this track total. Look at some people, it's like when you look at the percentage that they've won on this track, it's like 1.4, 2.1. No. Jimmy Johnson has won 21%. 21% of the 37 races that he's won or that he's run on this track. 22 top 10s of 37 starts, all the way back to 2016. 3rd place finish in the Coke 600. 1st place the following race. 17th, 7th, 5th, 8th, 40th. But in that race, he finished 2nd and got disqualified because of he failed post-race inspection and had to settle for a 40th place finish. But he was 2nd. He crossed the finish line in 2nd place. And then, of course, the last time he ever took this track, an 11th place finish. But we knew he was a shell of Jimmy Johnson at that point. And really, again, it was 2020, right? I mean, he finished 2nd in the race before and finished 11th the next time out. So for Jimmy Johnson at plus 500, this is a long race. He can be patient to begin with. He can remember how to get around this track. It may take him 300 laps to get to the top 10, but I guarantee you that by that lap 400, he will be in at least 10th place, if not better, when they drop the checkered flag.
I like it. Yeah, this at plus 500, I think this definitely deserves a little bit of a bet on it. Is he going to have one of the fastest cars out there? No. Is he the Jimmy Johnson of old? No. Is he in Hendrick equipment? No. We get it, right? But again, in a race that's going 600 miles, you've got to be mistake-free. A guy that's won here a billion times before and literally owned this track, you cannot pass this up. If it ends up being 18 cautions like it was last year and there's a high attrition rate, he's more likely to survive that, be able to put himself in position at the end of this. So yeah, 5-1, I think it's worth it. Again, the legacy cars are the legacy cars, but I think that we could see something out of that number 84 this weekend.
I hope so. I really do.
And Rod will be cheering very hard for that.
I will. You will see me in the Discord with like the only thing I'm ever type is 84. That's all.
There you go.
The whole day.
Okay, next up for me, I'm going to take Kyle Busch, top 5 finish, plus 140. Another guy that is very, very good in this race. Last year, finished 2nd to, at the time, teammate Denny Hamlin. And then in 2021, he finished in 3rd here. A rough go in 2020. Again, COVID year, 29th then. But 2019, he finished 3rd. He won this race in 2018, a 2nd place in 2017. That is a lot of top 5s here recently in this race. So, love me some Kyle Busch. We already saw it earlier this year. I believe it was Auto Club. He won an intermediate, had a fast car, was up front. He's a guy, again, a veteran guy who's done this a million times. He's ready to do the 1,100-mile race and go back-to-back. Nobody will give him a damn. I don't know if you saw his comments. I think it was after Darlington. Bob Pockers was asking him about, where are you at with your Indy 500 rides? And he's like, I'm done. I'm tired of asking people for a ride. The ride I think I was going to get, Kyle Larson got instead. I was like, oh, damn. So, yeah, whoops. But, he's ready to do both of them. So he's ready for 1,100 miles, 600 miles, nothing for him. He's just done it so consistently. Might not have that 8 car up front the first, half of this race or whatever, although he could very well. But another guy that should survive till the end, get up in that top 5 and even be battling for a win potentially in this one. So Kyle Busch, top 5, plus 140. That one's over on Caesars as well.
I'm wondering at what point I have to retire my pissed off Kyle Busch narrative, only because he's been pissed off for a while now, and we haven't seen necessarily it play out. And that All-Star race, man, there was no Kyle Busch at all. Like, I don't know if it was just that he gave up the second he realized that he wasn't going to go anywhere, or he was just ready to just run laps, because, you know, he was mad about his car, and that was it. I mean, it was like, okay, well, we're not going to compete, so might as well just log some laps.
Yeah. And I mean, of anyone out there too, like, as animated as he'll get on the radio and you know, throw this car out and this car sucks and I'm wrecking out here, and he does know what he's looking for, and he's a guy that has been hurt by the lack of practice, right? Because he could go out there and practice and practice and practice and dial it in perfectly. Without that, it's been a little bit of a rougher go the last couple of years for him, but with 600 miles to go out there and work on his car and get it done, Kyle Busch is a guy that's going to get it to his liking. I'm sure he'll have some words during that 600 miles. He ain't going to be happy the whole time. But as long as they get it fixed in how he likes it, we've already seen him in victory lane in this 8 car, and I think that we're going to see him definitely have a top 5 run this weekend.
And look, for what it's worth, RCR has the best average finish at Charlotte since 2020. They're averaging about 10th place finish. So, I mean, all Kyle's got to do is 5 better than that, and I think the driver makes the difference in that, right?
I hate
RCR
that.
had 4.
I hate that neither of us have on Austin Dillon bet in here, but I just couldn't find anything I loved enough. Austin Dillon, though, keep your eye on him. He's sneaky. Maybe he'll come up in the DFS show because he is freaking good in this long race. He's won the Coke 600 before, and he seems to always be in the mix at the end.
Well, somebody who's usually in the mix at the end, maybe not the mix to win, but at least in the mix for the most part, is Brad Keselowski. I found a head-to-head with him and Chastain.
Speaking of, I hope you didn't look in the Discord since you stole my bet, Rod.
So this was one of yours?
I dropped this in the Discord as soon as the odds came out yesterday. And I was like,
I didn't see it.
Like, because they were talking about, I don't know if I could fade Chastain this. I think it was the JDK. He's like, I don't know if I could fade Chastain this week. And I go, I just found the way you're going to fade Chastain.
Well, then I found it as well. This is why great minds think alike. Right. Brad Keselowski over Ross Chastain at plus 210. This is why you choose this one. Because for Brad Keselowski's career here at Charlotte, 23 starts, 10 top 10 finishes. Not bad. Almost half of his finishes here have been inside the top 10. 3 of his last 4 have been within the top 10. He won here in 2020, 7th place the following race, 11th in 2021, 30th though, but he got crashed out of 2022. And we kind of take 2022 for, sort of a outlier, because obviously last year was not a good year for Brad Keselowski, but he's been bouncing back. Brad Keselowski has actually turned around a pretty decent season. Almost half of his starts have finished in top 10s as well. 6 of his 13 have been top 10 finishes. 3 of his last 4 have all been top 10, and 2 of those have been top 5 finishes. 5th at Talladega, 4th at Darlington, 8th at Dover in between, and 19th in Kansas. But, oh well, we'll take that for what it is. But here's the thing about it. And if you're in the Discord, you already know our whole stance on Ross Chastain. In fact, if you're listening to this show, you know our stance on Ross Chastain. And it's not that he's not a talented driver. It's not that we don't think he's fast. The Trackhouse cars are definitely fast. Suarez showed that. Chastain has showed that. But Ross Chastain, you even saw it in the All-Star race, because, again, he was nowhere to be found really in that All-Star race as well. And he was actually allowing folks to pass him, which is something you don't ever see out of Ross Chastain. So whatever Justin Mark told him in the woodshed, he's taking it to heart, and he's going to lay low. He's going to log laps. He's going to be fast. But I know that Brad Keselowski is obviously a much more aggressive driver at this point, because he doesn't have any enemies on the track. 600 miles, a lot of landmines to navigate around for Ross Chastain. And when you've played the NASCAR games, right? And when everybody is red, when every car in front of you is red, nobody makes it easy for you to drive, and it's hard for you to finish a race. Ross Chastain is driving in a field of red enemies. So it's not going to be easy for him to navigate 600 miles. Take anybody over him, especially Brad Keselowski at plus money.
Yeah, his villain status is pretty high. And for this one, it's just at 2-1 for one driver to beat another driver in a 600-mile race. Like, that alone offers a ton of value. And so, yes, should Chastain have a very fast car? Of course. Has he been very fast on intermediate so far this season? Yes. Has he led laps? Yes. Will he be up front for a while? Yes. Can you trust Ross Chastain to make it to the end of 600 miles without snapping into the Ross Chastain of 2 weeks ago and pissing somebody off? If Noah Gragson gets around him, I mean, nobody's going to cut him a break, and he might get frustrated over a long time with that. Does he make it to the end of this race? He very well could. Does he have a good result? He very well could. We're not saying that he can't, because we know he's capable. He's highly talented. He's in a great car, but it's a lot of time for a lot of things to go wrong. He could be up there for 500 miles and not at 600 miles. We just don't know, and we cannot trust that. But Brad Keselowski, another veteran guy. Again, you're going to notice the trend with most of my bets, outside of Christopher Bell, I guess, because he's a young guy. But most of my bets, like, it's veteran, older guys who have continually done it race after race after race at this race. Brad Keselowski, for the most part, another one of those guys. Save for last year, RFK was still kind of struggling at that point, whatever. But we've seen a change from them. You expect him to have a good, solid day, probably be running top 10 towards the end of this race. Will Ross Chastain still be in the race? Not a risk you want to take. And at 2-1, that's what's crazy. I mean, if these two guys were matched up and it's, minus anything, probably not. If it's plus even 120, plus 130, plus 140, you maybe would look at it. But plus 210, like that, you've got to get something on this one, in my opinion. So I love this one. I gave it out in the Discord earlier this week. Rod stole it from me, but that's okay, because I fully back it. Great minds think alike. So speaking of RFK drivers, I'm going to jump over to the other RFK driver and go with Chris Buescher, top 10 finish in this race. Again, over on Caesars, plus 240. He did finish 26th here last year. Again, we just talked about it. RFK not up to par at that point. Hadn't seen everything from them. The 3 Coke 600s previous to that, 8th, 10th, and 6th. It's 3 top 10s in a row. 3 of the last 4 he's got a top 10 in. We just saw him win a heat race, dominating fashion last week at the All-Star race. Harder to pass there, different kind of track, but we've continually seen the growth from these guys. Chris Buescher, another guy, at this point, he's becoming a veteran, right? He's been around for quite a while in this sport. Another guy who knows how to mind his P's and Q's, knows how to get to the end of the race, and has a good enough car. And by the way, has there been a race this season where these two guys have not finished back-to-back? It seems like every week, the 17 and 6, it's almost like they're just hooked up together, and wherever one is, the other one is. So if Brad Keselowski's in the top 10, guess where Chris Buescher is going to be? In the top 10. Plus 240. Give me some Chris Buescher for the top 10 finish.
Nobody hates Chris Buescher either. In fact, I wonder if sometimes when spotters go, the 17 is on your bumper. Like, what's he doing up there?
Yeah, very non-controversial guy.
Hey, but listen, man, to be a successful race car driver, sometimes you have, and I'm not saying a superstar, I'm saying a successful race car driver, you just got to know how to ride around and not make enemies, I think is what the key is. So, all right. My next pick is, we'll jump on your Harvick train. I found a head-to-head that I liked, and I'll take Harvick over Bubba Wallace at plus 100 over there on Superbook. Oh, by the way, that Brad Keselowski line, you could put him on that's over at Caesars, that plus 210. Yep. Sorry, I forgot to fix that. But yeah, Harvick over Bubba Wallace at plus 100, plus money. I get why this is where it's at right now, because it seems as if Kevin Harvick has sort of dropped off as just the intensity of what he's doing, right? Obviously, this is his last season. He hasn't been turning in all the top 10s that you want him to turn in. He's gotten in a little more trouble this season than he normally does. You know, books may not think that he's got his head in the game, whatever. But just like Cody said, this track, Kevin Harvick, lock it in. Solid top 10 finish. There's just no way that he can't finish inside the top 10 unless he wrecks or he has a bad day. Hey, Rod, guess what? You just said exactly the same thing that everything. Yes, it's true. But in this instance, I think Kevin Harvick is a lock for a top 10. So I'm going to work off of that premise and take him over Bubba Wallace, who on this track has had 6 starts, no top 10 finishes. His best finish was a 14th place finish in his first year in the 23 car back in 2021. Last season, started 7th on this track, got in an accident, couldn't get his car back up to snuff, finished 28th in this race. So again, for Bubba Wallace, his season hasn't necessarily been all that fantastic either so far. 4 top 10s in 13 starts, 3 top 5s. Now, granted, he has had 2 top 5 finishes in a row, right, at Kansas in 4th and Darlington at 5th. But, I mean, he's also seen his fair share of bad finishes. 20th at Daytona, 30th at Fontana, 27th in Atlanta, 37th at Austin, 22nd at Richmond, 28th at Talladega. So for Bubba Wallace, he's such a polarizing personality in the garage. But even all that aside, like, he drives so emotional that a 600-mile race, I drive an hour and I get road ragey and I'm in the middle of like a stretch of nobody, right? I get mad at the cows for whatever reason. 600 miles is a long way to be inside your head. I don't know if that's what plays out and why these bad finishes have been for him, because it wasn't as if he was in bad equipment either in Richard Petty cars in that 43. I mean, they weren't top of the line, but, 16th place, 25th, 38th, 37th, 14th. That's not really good finishes in decent equipment, right? So it's not as if the equipment's the factor. This has a lot to do with the driver. So if I'm giving Bubba Wallace 600 miles to get in his head, I think he's going to get in his head. Kevin Harvick, on the other hand, I think he's going to have a better finish than this. I almost didn't need to go all that in depth over this, but I felt like I had to make the case for why Bubba's not going to finish inside the top 10 over Harvick at least.
Yeah, I think that's good points. Again, Bubba's a guy that we've seen have a lot of speed lately. He's been fast. He was very fast again at Kansas, another intermediate track. But that extra 100 miles could make all the difference. And again, it's Kevin Harvick. Like that, you could just stop right there. Like, you're picking Kevin Harvick to finish really good in this race. Like that is the argument in itself. And again, it's plus money. Speaking of getting Kevin Harvick at plus money, I'm going to take Kevin Harvick over William Byron at plus 205. I need to see where I got this. It might have been Caesars. It might have been Superbook. But while I'm looking into that, again, this is no hate on Byron by any means, because I expect Byron to be good, expect Byron to be fast, expect Byron to be there at the end in this race. But this is on Caesars, by the way. But again, 2-1 for one guy to beat another guy. Oh, and that's the guy who's only finished outside the top 11 here one time since 2010 in this race. How much more of an argument do you need? Does William Byron come out and lead a ton of laps and win this race and he's really fast? Sure. Would anybody be surprised? Absolutely not. Maybe this one doesn't cash. But Kevin Harvick is almost certainly going to be in this at the end, as history would dictate. Byron finished 32nd in this last year, so a bad finish for him there. He was 4th in 2021, so he can finish good. 12th in 2020, that's good, but not good enough to beat Kevin Harvick. And 9th in 2019, again, good, but not good enough to beat Kevin Harvick. So, and obviously we've seen what Byron has done this year, right? We know Hendrick's at the top of their game. We know Byron is at the top of his game. He's the only driver with 3 wins on the season. 3 points paying wins, I guess I should say. But a 2-1 to only beat one driver for the most consistent guy in the field, you can't pass that up. So give me Kevin Harvick over William Byron, plus 205, and that one's over on Caesars as well.
It was tough for me because, well, like I said at the beginning of the show, right? I mean, William Byron, one of the hottest drivers in the circuit right now, and it's not even close. Like, he has the most wins. He's looked electric all season long. Now, obviously, Kyle Larson starting to close up the gap a little bit in popular opinion. I don't know if it's playing out on the track as much as we think it is, because sometimes we're a little bit recency bias is for what we see. Right?
I remember a few weeks ago, I saw somebody was talking about Larson and like, well, do they need to start worrying? And it's like, I don't know, just because he's had a couple of bad finishes, let's pump the brakes on that. And We saw that last week.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's like, oh my God, here we go. Now we're going to rip off 10 straight wins. And it's like, well, no, hang on. We thought that last year when he got his first one, and then it kind of cooled off after that. So, yeah, like you said, let's bump the brakes on this one. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you, obviously, on this one because I love Kevin Harvick.
And again, if this is even plus 110, maybe you look at it. You can maybe, but at 2-1, that's what really sways a bet like this. Like, all he has to do is beat one other guy. Honestly, they could finish. There's a few guys. Zane Smith has entered in this. Jimmy Johnson's entered in this race. So there's like 38. They could finish 37th and 38. You could still cash this just because But I think that just the fact that Harvick is so consistent in this race, we've seen at the tracks that he's very consistent at. It's pretty much stuck to that. He's had a couple of rough weeks here lately. Ford struggled on the intermediate to bigger track speed, yes, but there's been a few exceptions. Harvick is always the exception. And so, yeah, again, at 2-1, I think that you have to hit this one.
I concur. All right. We always have you looking down the card, right? We don't want to keep you always looking at the top 10 in the ticker. So this one's going to have you looking someplace between 20th and possibly 30th.
Oh, my. I looked at this group, too. Once I saw that you had picked someone, I decided to stay off of it. But this group is like, who's going to finish 30th and win this group?
But I'm telling you right now, this is why we do this, because at plus 275, I have got Justin Haley to win Group F over there on Superbook, which consists of the following drivers: Austin Cindric, Ryan Preece, and AJ Allmendinger. Woo! That is an electric group altogether.
This group is straight trash. None of these guys should be any good at this race.
Hey, and yet they don't have to be. All one has to do is be better than the rest, and that's what we're hoping for Justin Haley. And for Justin Haley, believe it or not, he's got the best finishing position of this group altogether. Like, he's finishing 20th. His average finish is 20th place this season. It's 20 even. You look at what AJ Allmendinger has done. His average finish is 21.8. And then Austin Cindric is 21.6. And then Ryan Preece is 24.2. But for Justin Haley, I mean, look, I'm really just going off of what he's been able to do this season. And last week he had a respectable 8th place finish at Darlington. The week before that, 18th at Kansas. He's at a 19th at Talladega, 6th place on Bristol Dirt, right? 8th place at Las Vegas. Some pretty solid finishes for Justin Haley. Whereas like AJ Allmendinger, he had 6th place at Daytona, and his best finish since then has been a 14th place finish at Kansas. Nothing to see here. 36th at Fontana, 27th at Richmond, 27th at Martinsville. Last week, 23rd at Darlington. Like, just nothing to write home about. For Austin Cindric, he's had 2 top 10s. That's fantastic, right? 6th place at Austin, 6th place at Vegas, but 19th last week, 31st the week before, 26th the week before that, 26th the week before that, 33rd the week before that. Ugly numbers. And then for Ryan Preece, look, the 41 car, we talk about him, right? We talk about him running sometimes in the top 10. He makes an appearance, pops his head over there every once in a while, but he's got no top 10 finishes this season at all. 15th at Darlington, which was a pretty good run for him by his account, he had a 12th place at Phoenix, which is his best finish this season. Other than that, 27th at Kansas, 17th at Dover, 34th at Talladega, 24th at Bristol Dirt, 32nd at Austin, 28th in Atlanta, 36th at Daytona. Look, nothing to write home about here. So if you give me Justin Haley as the winner of this group at the best odds, he's got the longest odds of this at plus 275. Everybody else is a little bit shorter. So I don't know. I like Haley to win this group. That means he finishes 18th. Well, at least you got money on the 18th place driver.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you've convinced me on Haley. So I had picked this group out, and I started to dig into it a little, and I couldn't talk myself into anyone. Like, I wanted to go with AJ Allmendinger. I wanted to say, again, veteran driver, 600 miles. But then how much does AJ Allmendinger get in his own head? We know he's straight up not having a good time this season. Like, sounds like he's probably not coming back next year. He's not liking this season very much. Got some road courses coming up. Maybe things will change a little, but until then, you can't really trust him very much. He also hasn't run this 600-mile race since 2018, I think, when he was last full time in the Cup Series. And then Preece, we've talked about it. SHR struggles with the speed outside of Harvick, of course, because he's the exception to that rule. But they've struggled with speed on these tracks. He's got an okay history here going back a little, but nothing that really jumps out to you. And then with Cindric, he's only made one start because, of course, he was a rookie last season, and he didn't even finish the race. So that doesn't put a bunch of confidence into you. He's probably got the best car in a Penske ride, of course, yes, but the Fords have still struggled. And so, yeah, I think Haley, and honestly, Haley is quietly almost a veteran at this point. Like, it's been in a lot of crappy cars, but he's been around for a while. So he's had some starts in this race. He's done some stuff. So I really like that pick. Good job, Rod. You convinced me. Plus 275. Yeah, take Haley to win that group.
Yeah, again, it's not going to be pretty. It's not something you want to, but it's going to have you watching the ticker. So, and his two starts here haven't been great either. 28th and 27th is his finishes, but he had engine problems last year, so didn't get to finish the race. So yeah, that's yeah. I'll take it though.
Yeah. Next up for me, the one guy I'm going to this week that's not the grizzled old veteran, Christopher Bell. This is my gut handicapping here. Love Christopher Bell this week. I've already talked about him, made the case for him to be the top Toyota. I'm going to take him over Ross Chastain. It's -105. Chastain's the favorite in this. Again, these are two fairly equal cars, right? We've seen Chastain and his Chevrolet be fast. We've seen these Gibbs Toyotas be very good as well. Bell, not maybe to the degree of Hamlin and Truex on these intermediates, but he's been hanging in there with some pretty solid runs. Again, a guy that is very good at working on his car and coming up with good finishes at the end. Did have a 36th place finish at Kansas. Of course, he wrecked out there, but a nice solid 6th place run at Dover, another intermediate track. You go back to Las Vegas, he had a 5th place run there. California, 32nd. He didn't get to complete all the laps either, but even lately here at some of these other races, an 8th at Talladega, he won Bristol Dirt, a 4th place at Richmond, a 3rd place at Atlanta, a 6th place at Phoenix, 3rd in the Daytona 500. So again, he's just kind of put himself in position to be there for solid finishes at the end. Chastain, I'm not saying go full fade of him this week or anything, but I cannot trust him, and I cannot with everyone that's out there to get him, with the people that aren't going to be cutting him slack. And now how much is he in his head at this point? Not only did Justin Marks obviously have a conversation with him, he took that conversation public in a way and basically scolded him in the media. And now Chastain has got that on his mind, and he's going to be thinking about that, and he can't make these mistakes. And maybe his aggression isn't turned up, which is going to provide him to not finish as well. Or if his aggression is turned up to where it normally is, that could also provide him to not finish well. So we'll see. And maybe he finds that perfect middle and just runs a great race and has a good finish. But till I see that on a regular basis, not going to trust it. Give me Christopher Bell over Ross Chastain, -105. And this one's actually over on DraftKings.
I love it, only because, first of all, I muted myself because I loved it that much. Again, this is full fade of Chastain. That's just the way we roll right now. And it's, when you see it in anything, like especially even I've seen it in the Army where, a guy gets in trouble and you don't see or hear from him for a good long time because he's keeping his head down. He's not the one volunteering for everything anymore. He's not the one doing, being aggressive anymore. He's just the one trying not to get in trouble anymore, trying not to get on the first sergeant's radar. Or the Chief's radar, right? Just trying to stay low and
look
before
at you pulling out your Navy ranks over there.
I love it. See, I love it. I know what it is. But yeah, so again, yeah, full fade of Chastain. Take him any way you can. All right.
Rod's currently editing his next bet. He's changed his mind.
Oh no, I'm adding another one.
Oh, you're at okay, because I keep seeing the cursor on the document go.
No,
and, new things are popping up.
This is why you watch YouTube, so you go like, "What the hell is Rod doing? Why is he?"
I just been watching him over here as he's typing while he's talking. I'm very a lot of times I'm writing notes and stuff, but I try to do that while you're talking, and then
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm just like, okay, I'm vamping while I'm talking.
You're very talented. You're listening on audio. You probably didn't even notice a difference.
You probably didn't. All right. So my next bet is one. I'm throwing it back. I'm bringing it back for this because I still love this bet, and I actually love the odds for this bet. We're going to go winning number again. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? If it's the same as fastest pit stop in F1, don't fix it. I've got the winning car number under 11.5 at plus 110. I mean, this gives you Denny Hamlin. This gives you Kyle Larson. It gives you Chase Elliott. It gives you Kyle Busch. It even gives you Brad Keselowski if you're so inclined, or quite possibly Corey LaJoie, or even Austin Dillon if we're really getting deep into the weeds. Like already, though, the fact that it gives you Larson, Elliott, and Hamlin all in there, that's if you're going to give me a
don't
3.
Forget Kevin Harvick. Don't forget Ross Chastain even in that. I mean, those are guys that could win this race.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, the selling points for me were the Hendrick and Gibbs drivers in there. So I definitely like that, especially it's a good little hedge. It's not going to win you a ton of money at plus 110, but any plus money bet is usually a good plus money bet. And when it gives you that many talented drivers, like all but maybe 2 of them, you can make a case for to win this race. Like I can't make a case for Austin Cindric. Sorry. And as much as you love Corey LaJoie, I can't necessarily see him winning this race either. But everybody else in that group, that's a fantastic group.
You could probably toss in there.
Oh, that's true too. Okay, 3. I forgot the 10 car, so that'll do it for you. But yeah, I like that 11.5 under at plus 110. And then as I was typing, I threw this one in as well. And this is the car number band between 10 and 19. This really intrigued me for the price at plus 300 at 3-1. 10 to 19. Obviously, you can throw Eric Almirola out of there, but it gives you Hamlin. It gives
you a way to double dip on Hamlin right here.
Exactly. It gives you, plus 300 too is a good way to double on Hamlin. But it gives you Hamlin, it gives you Blaney, gives you Briscoe if you're feeling froggy, but it stops at Martin Truex Jr., which is exactly where I think that needle should stop. So now I'm getting 2 Gibbs cars in this, as well as Brian Blaney, who could sneak away and win this race. I like that at plus 300. 2 Gibbs cars for plus 300. Yes, please.
Yeah, I like it.
So
I like it. And again, I don't argue with Rod on his number bets.
You're damn right you don't. All right. We got to step away one more time. When we come back, we will give you our race winners. But of course, we want to thank you all. For those of you who watched me type and talk at the same time while I was preparing those bets, you guys know what's up. You're watching us on YouTube, and we appreciate it. We see all the loyal listeners that comment and like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and humbly appreciative of all of it. And of course, for the OG fans of the show, you leave a review like Herb does. We are Herb approved, and we absolutely love it. We are going to wear that banner with pride. It is now in our Twitter bio. By the time you listen to this, we will be Herb approved. And if you want to be like Herb, jump on, leave us a review. Tell us how you like the show, and we will definitely read it on the air and just, read it to ourselves to make us feel better, because that's what we do. So, yes, continue to do all the things to keep the show successful. We love you, and we want more of it.
Hey, everybody. If you play fantasy football, especially in auction leagues,
or you're a whiskey fan.
Yes, exactly. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast Fantasy Football Channel show, Old Fashioned Football.
Coming to you every Tuesday morning. Give us a listen. We'll bring you the latest fantasy football data, including
the injury report,
studs and duds,
waiver wire targets,
and suggested fab.
Market movers. After all, we are the Marks.
He is my hubby.
And she's J Mark's wifey.
And we're bringing all this to you while drinking an old fashioned and giving you our honest review of a different whiskey every week.
All that and more. Hop on over, give us a listen, come for the football, stay for the whiskey.
This ad's almost done.
Going once, going twice.
Sold.
Well, at the end of 600 miles, somebody is going to be the winner of this race. And as always, we have now about 500 guys on this list that will probably do that. So, Cody, I even jumped on the bandwagon this time and gave out a couple more winners than I normally do. So let's give them our outrights, shall we?
I like it, Rod. By the way, our Twitter bio is updated. It now says Herb approved. Shout out to the real Herb because, we're Herb approved. I like it. That was a great idea.
God bless.
Anyways, yes, on to the list of winners. Again, you can make a case for a lot of guys this week, as it's been week to week. That's what's been so tough about picking winners. I know some guys in the Discord have talked about cutting back on how much they're putting on the winner bets just because it is so much harder to predict. Obviously, a guy like Kyle Larson is up top. again, how long has it been since we've seen somebody win back-to-back? So many things that can go wrong in a 600-mile race. So I'm going to spread mine out 3 ways. I'm going with all little bit of longer shots in a way, 12-1 being the lowest of them, and just kind of skipping over that top group. Again, I won't be shocked if any of those guys win, but with all of the up in the air, with all the different people who could win this race, especially with that extra 100 miles, give me a little bit of some longer shots. So all guys I've already talked about, so I'll be quick. Christopher Bell, 12-1 on Barstool Sportsbook. He's as low as 8-1 on some other books, so make sure you shop around a little bit, but I've made the case. I like him. He's good at the end. He's one of these Gibbs cars. He's fast. Already got a win in the bank. If it comes down to wanting to gamble late, he can do it. Love me some Christopher Bell. KFB, Kyle fucking Busch, 12-1, Barstool Sportsbook as well. Again, he has been freaking solid here. Second, third, that 129th place blemish, third, a win, and second in his last however many starts I just read off at this race. He's been damn good. There's been some talk in the Discord. How many times do you bet on Brad Keselowski to win a race? Do you give up on it? I apologize for spelling his name wrong in the document I'm typing right now to fix it, because it's Brad Keselowski. 40-1 Rod over on Superbook. Couldn't pass it up. He's as low as 25-1 on some other books. So that's a 15-point swing. That's a big difference. At 40-1, though, I like it. Again, a guy who can put himself in position to be there at the end. Not going to have the fastest car all day long, but he won this race back in 2020, not that long ago. And he's due for one. I hate to keep saying it, but he's so due. He's going to get it. It's going to be a big moment when he does it. His big celebration is putting the American flag in and driving around with that. It's Memorial Day weekend, Rod. What better way to celebrate? Love me some Brad Keselowski. 40-1. Can't pass it up. Again, we talk about this almost every week. Biggest gambler in the field, Brad Keselowski. If it comes down to it and it works out perfectly, he could be the guy that does it. 25-1, maybe not. 40-1, give me some Brad Keselowski to win this race on Sunday.
I mean, look, you love your long shots, and that's exactly what a long shot is Brad Keselowski. But again, like you said, I feel like he's going to have a good week. These RFK cars are good, so I'll back you on that one as well. For both of my winners, I mean, I picked 2 of my own, and then one was granted to me because I do get to bring up his name in this broadcast. But I'm picking the Gibbs guys. I'm picking Hamlin. I'm picking Truex. Right, both of these guys. Hamlin is at 8-1.
Before you get into it, that's 3. We've given you all 3 top Gibbs cars. That's obviously goes to show you how we feel about Gibbs this weekend, and a former Gibbs driver, Kyle Busch.
Well, but it's like I told you. I mean, you go back through the winners of this race, and this is why it's hard. I wanted to say Denny, and my heart screamed Denny because Denny is been so damn good at this track in his entire career, right? I mean, Denny Hamlin has got 20.
He won here last year.
Yeah, he won here last year, but that's why I stopped, because how much have we seen people win back-to-back, not just weeks,
right,
but in
the same race. Yes.
Yeah, it's not been a gimme anymore. It's literally not easy for these guys to do that. So that's why I was like, well, he won this race. He started on the pole. He won this race last year. Can he do it this year? Like, I don't know. It's a tough thing to call. But, you know, in the last 3 races for Hamlin, it's been 1st, 7th, 2nd, and then a couple of bad finishes, 29th, 17th, but 3rd, 4th, 5th before that. Like, dude's been so solid on this track for so long, and in this race, like, it's very difficult to pull against Denny Hamlin. But again, we've seen Denny Hamlin sort of have his ups and downs this season where he's been good and then he's been bad. So, like, which Denny Hamlin are we going to see? Are we going to see the one that can win the 600-mile race, or the one that will have a bad car, or will have a good car but a bad pit stop, puts him out of strategy, and then now we're toast, and, you know, the world is going to fall, and now we don't get a chance to see Denny Hamlin run for the lead. It's the same thing. How often can you bet on Denny Hamlin to win, and before you have to give up? I don't know the answer to that, but I'll tell you that it doesn't start this week. And at 8-1, I think Denny Hamlin, I like him because he's not juiced, beat down odds wise right now. He's good value because of the fact that he's been so hard to predict. And then Martin Truex Jr. on the other side of that one. Truex on this track as well had a pretty decent thing going. Not as many top 10s as his teammate. He's got 13 in 31 starts, but he did finish 12th here last year. But we, of course, know that was a bad year for him altogether. 29th year before, but 9th, 6th. He won 2 of 3 between 2017 and 2019, finishing 2nd and 3rd in a couple of other races on that. So, I mean, 3 wins on this track. He knows how to get it done. He does have a win this season, which means he's can go out and run whatever strategy he wants to try to win this race. It's not necessarily something that he has to do to get in the playoffs now. He has a little bit of wiggle room. He's not locked in, but he's definitely, somebody that can get things done. And like I said, if I'm going to pick a Gibbs guy, you look at the last few races. Denny Hamlin won this last one. Truex won it in 2019. Busch won it in 2018. Of course, he was the Gibbs car then. Truex won it in 2017. Truex won it in 2016. Right? There's a lot of history here of Gibbs cars crossing the finish line first. It's either Gibbs or Hendrick, with a little bit of Brad Keselowski mixed in there and Austin Dillon throwing one in there as well. So give me that at what did I say? 11-1 for Truex. You can find him. And then, of course, the last one, Cody put it in the doc before I could. I was not going to do it, but since it's in the doc, I'm going to read it.
Hey, it's worth it at this price.
It's Jimmy Johnson at 20-1.
Not 20-1.
Oh, 200 to what?
He's
200-1.
Yeah, 200-1. Yeah.
Holy cow.
That's why you're taking it. It's 200-1. I mean, again, we talked about it already. He's not going to be the fastest car, but if it comes down to it, if it's heavy attrition, we end up in some overtimes, he puts himself in position. It's not completely out. This isn't BJ McLeod where there's no chance he wins this race. It's a very, 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 very tiny chance that he wins this race. But so you're telling me there's a chance, Rod. That's all I need.
It's 200
to 1. 200-1. You got to have something on Jimmy Johnson. What a story that would be. Jimmy Johnson comes back to Lowe's Motor Speedway, no longer called that, but it could be honorary Lowe's Motor Speedway for the day, and wins a race. Hopefully he would retire after that. That'd be the perfect way to go out.
8 wins on this track. 8 wins on this track.
Owned this place. This was his place. You got that extra 100 miles, which plays so much into the hands of a grizzled veteran like Jimmy Johnson. Again, it's a very, very small chance, but there's just that little glimmer of hope. 200-1. You can't pass it up. I wanted to make sure Rod got to give this bet out. So, yes, do it.
Thank you for that. Yes,
You're
I
welcome.
definitely I love this one because I love Jimmy Johnson. So, all right, get out your pen and paper. About to tell you everything that we've covered today for our picks. Cody started you off with Kevin Harvick as a top 10 car at -120 and a top 5 car at +220 over there on Caesars. Also tossed in a Harvick top Ford and a Bell top Toyota at 10-1. I gave you Jimmy Johnson as a top 10 car at +500 over on Caesars. Cody gave you KFB, Kyle Busch as a top 5 car at +140. I said Brad Keselowski was going to finish better than Ross Chastain at +210 over on Caesars. Cody gave you Chris Buescher as a top 10 car at +240. I said Kevin Harvick was going to finish better than Bubba Wallace at +100. Cody followed it up with Kevin Harvick over William Byron at +205. I said Justin Haley was going to win the group of all groups, the super group, Group F over there on Superbook, over Austin Cindric, Ryan Preece, and AJ Allmendinger at +275. Cody gave you Christian Bell over Ross Chastain at -105. I gave you the winning number of the car under 11.5 at +110, and then gave you the band of 10 to 19 at +300. And then Cody loaded you up with Christopher Bell at 12-1, Kyle Busch at 12-1, and Brad Keselowski at 4-1. Yeah, 40-1 rather over there.
That's a lot of numbers.
That was hard. And then I gave you Denny Hamlin at 8-1 and Martin Truex Jr. at 11-1. And then we all love Jimmy Johnson at 200-1 to win the Coca-Cola 600 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Cody, buddy, ready for this?
I know this is our first picks show of the week, but it will be the final race of the week. We'll put the perfect bow on a great weekend of racing. I'm super, super excited for this one. It is going to be an amazing race, amazing racing weekend. It's, man, that's 600 miles, Rod. That's a long, long time. Long, long race. Going to be a good one.
Settle in, get all of the beverages that you need around you. Grab a cooler and just don't even walk to the fridge. Literally just get your cooler, set it by the couch.
Get a bucket. You don't even need to go to the bathroom. It's fine.
Nope. Just sit there and don't even.
I did want to say as well, if live betting is available to you, if there's one race the entire season that I would give you a suggestion, if you could only pick one race to live bet on, this is that race. If somebody goes down early, a speeding penalty, a loose wheel, whatever it is, and they're only a lap down or something back there, you've probably, and if it's, it's one of the top guys, it's a Hamlin, it's a Busch, it's a anybody on any of these top teams, I think you've got to watch their odds because it's such a long race. There's the extra stage caution built in there. There's such a chance for them to come back and figure it out and put it back together that this would be my best suggestion for saving a little bit of your budget for the weekend or however you do it to watch those live odds lines, because I think there's going to be opportunities to get some really good value there.
AAA works quickly on this track. They can get you right back out on the road after a flat tire and not even lose a lap. So
there you go.
Good stuff. All right. Well, Cody, like you said, this is the first pick show of the week. We got a ton more for you. Obviously, trucks, Xfinity, F1, Indy. I swear to God, I'm going to find some like dog track and we're going to handicap dog race. I don't care what it is at this point. We'll cover it for you this week. It's
a busy week, but we're super pumped. I've got an article out for the Indy 500 already. You can find that on Twitter at Husker_Zeeb. Of course, that's at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. But yes, check back in the rest of the week. We'll have an Xfinity show. We'll have a truck show. We'll have a DFS show. We're down to the final four drivers in Hamlin Mania. We'll have to make our picks on that later this weekend. And yeah, check out the F1 Gambling Podcast, Monaco. If there's only one race you could bet on for F1 for the whole season, this is going to be the one. This is the one that has the most chance for it not to be just absolute max domination. Going to be a great race. Special edition Indy 500 episode. Make sure you check that out. Oh, great weekend, Rod. I'm pumped. Follow the show at NASCAR Gambling on Twitter. Again, go get in that contest with our friends over at Quick Pit Podcast. It's going to be a fun one. Some fun prizes over there. Integrates all three big races of the weekend. It'll be a great time.
It'll be a fantastic time. You guys keep us locked all week long. We've got you covered from all these betting perspectives. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio to everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's in between media, whether it is for frequency's sake. It's all there in the Twitter bio. Click on the link. Follow it there. We'll be back tomorrow with the Truck Series or Xfinity, depending on who gets the odds up first. Whatever. Just find it. It'll be in the feed. You know where to find us. So we'll see you tomorrow. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.